You're listening to the Renegade Blitz, the best podcast for Steelers fans by Steelers fans. Follow us on Twitter at Renegade Blitz, at RBlitzPod, and at Blitz Videos. Read articles on RenegadeBlitz.com, like us on Facebook, and subscribe to our podcast on your favorite podcast app.
Well, guys, we've had a few days to digest the Steelers' 36-28 loss to the Minnesota Vikings. It's the second straight primetime game that the Steelers get embarrassed and then rally back in the second half, particularly in the fourth quarter, and almost pull off an historic comeback. Hi again, everybody. I'm Ty Polk with Chris Ward and Brandon Walker. Welcome to the Renegade Blitz. Thank you for tuning in on Twitter live with us, and also thank you for tuning in on our podcasts as well. Be sure to like, subscribe, also rate us 5 stars as well. The game against the Los Angeles Chargers would have been the biggest comeback in team history. They were down 24 points for that one. They'd never come back from 24 points down. And the 29-point comeback against the Vikes would have been the largest regular season comeback in NFL history. It's really been a trend of disappointing first half to thrilling second half that either the comebacks are completed or come up short in the past 5 seasons, really. And sometimes it could be inverted, like that Seahawks game or the Broncos game, to name a few. What is your take on the Steelers at this point? Are the Steelers a resilient team, or is this just bad execution by teams thought to be at least competitive in the playoff hunt?
Well, I just think, honestly, this Steelers team is actually weird. And I say this because, what are they? If you think about the 2021 Pittsburgh Steelers, what are they? Are they a power running team, or are they a passing team? Are they a defensive team? Are they a strong on special teams team? They're none of that. They try to be, but they're not that. But they're inconsistent. Are they a second half great team, resilient team, or they fall apart in the second half? It's just inconsistency and weirdness is to describe the Steelers, and that's why they're 6-6-1.
Yeah, I think you hit it right there. Is like they're a hard team to figure out. You know, very inconsistent, and their record shows for it at 6-6-1. Yeah, a lot of slow starts. Roethlisberger's just like unbelievable in the fourth quarter this year. I'd like to see them be more consistent. Come out of the gates faster, but it just hasn't been that way this year.
Yeah, and there's one more thing we could talk about is the Steelers' pace of play. In the first half, they are ranked 31st in pace/seconds per snap. And in the second half, they leapfrogged to second in that same category. They've been down big in a lot of these situations, which has forced them to no huddle. But when you really think about the Steelers' offense and their success, again, over that same, maybe a little bit less than that 5-season stretch, because that was still Lev Bell and AB out there for the Steelers. But at least in the last two to 4 years, like, this has been the team. It's always been this, whenever we start getting going, it's because we go no huddle. Is there more to this stat? Is it really just this team might as well just at least spot teams for 30 minutes and then go out there all guns a-blazing?
That's not a healthy way to play football, though, and sustain success. That is not a model for business success. But the Steelers are a business, so we can say it's, but it's not a model for success. If you want to go no huddle and play with that type of pace, go and play with that pace. If you want to be a power running team and establish a run and play physical, do that. You have to have an identity. This Steeler team on either the offensive side or the defensive side has an identity. If your best identity is your kicker, then you have a problem. And he's missing field goals lately. He's missing extra points lately.
Yeah, they definitely can't run the ball. All season we heard how this offensive line was supposed to be, more aggressive, and that's what offensive line coach Adrian Clem was going to bring to the table is that they're going to be like a physical group, and that really hasn't been the case, as Tomlin said after the Bengals game and after the Vikings loss, that they just get dominated on both sides of the line of scrimmage. And you look at the defensive side, like look at some of the guys that have been playing, a good amount of snaps. They have like Henry Mondu out there, Isaiah Buggs was out there before, Adams, who they just picked up. Just a lot of backup guys on there in the defensive line. And, I tweeted this today. I was like Devin Bush and Joe Shover, they might arguably be the worst inside linebacker duo in the league. And I know people have mentioned how the defensive line plays a part in that. And, that does, there's a factor there. But if you rewatch the game, like Shover and Bush, like they're just not even fighting off blocks well.
No. You didn't answer the question, but I'm glad you guys are going to answer this right now. Do you think this is the worst defense in Steelers history? I mean, ever since post-mortem, because I've talked to my grandpa. He's like, man, the Steelers in the 50s and the Steelers in the 60s were freaking terrible. But we're not talking about that. We're talking about this is probably the worst Steeler defense I have ever seen. And last week we talked about him being an MVP candidate, TJ Watt, and a potential defensive player of the year in Cam Hayward. We have two defensive player of the year candidates, and this is probably the worst Steelers defense that I have ever seen.
It's definitely the worst run defense that I've ever seen. I don't know. Last time I checked, they were like 30th in the league. I mean, they might even be worse now after the Sundays games. But it's definitely. I have to look up the number as far as like worst deep, but definitely the worst run defense. I think the worst since then was like 1989, and the Steelers are on pace to pass that number as far as rushing yards allowed.
Yeah, and actually, we'll get right into that right now. You kind of just led right into it. I do know this. You're never going to see the Steelers' run defense worse than what it is right now. There's ground zero, there's rock bottom, and there's bedrock. That's what the Steelers' run defense is right now. They've given up over 1,000 yards in their last 6 games, with a total of 1,813 over the season. That is on pace to give up 2,008 yards total. And that was over the 1988-89 season. And that was a 16-game season. They're going to go over that entire limit. So that means that would be the worst defensive performance since 1989 against the run. 1989. I know that, Chris, me and you are 90s kids, and Brandon's the elder statesman of the group, but I never thought I would ever see a run defense this bad. I thought that at the very least, you would see a Steelers run defense that when it counts, they'll get the stops. And they've done it a few times. I think that was one of the reasons why that Minnesota game in the end got a little bit more closer than it should have. But it's still awful.
That's what I say. Like,
sorry. For the current record, they've given up 1,813 yards over the season for an average of 139.5 yards per game, which is dead last in the league. Oh no, it's not. No, it's not. It's not. I'm sorry.
30th?
No, yeah, 30th, because Houston is 147.9, but Houston is right now Houston, so. Plus, they're like behind in a lot of games. They're terrible anyway. And
that's why
the Chargers are still slightly ahead of them at 140.7.
Yeah.
So they're 30th.
And that's funny because they have Bosa and Derwin James and all that stuff. So you can look at it and go, okay, maybe that's one of the reasons why they have Defensive Player of the Year candidates. And you're talking about Houston. Didn't you hear that Zach Cunningham, one of the Texans' middle linebackers, was cut, but he was picked up on waivers, and there was a lot of Steelers fans saying, yeah, at this point, pick him up.
Yeah, they're bad. 30th in the league, slightly ahead of the Jets with 138.8 8.
Yeah,
So,
I mean, that's why I mentioned that, it's the worst that I've ever seen because, like Ty mentioned, both born in the 90s. So, like, we started watching early 2000s. I mean, we were spoiled with some of those run defenses the Steelers had. They were just always known to be dominant. Like, I mean, I wonder what Casey Hampton and James Farrier think about this current run defense. At one point during that Vikings game, Dalvin Cook was, like, averaging 11 yards before contact. I mean, that's just how bad it was. Like, I think it was in the second quarter when that tweet came out.
yeah. You know what? The reason why the Steelers let them back, because the Vikings, this is the prime reason why the Minnesotan guy was clamoring for him getting Mike Zimmer getting fired. Why would you go up 29 and start giving the ball, start putting the game in Kirk Cousins' hands? That's more of the reason why. That's an asinine decision.
Yeah, I mean, I tweeted after the game, like, both these teams are not very good.
Cousins went 14 for 31, and I'm sitting there looking at his, like, touchdown interception ratio, and I'm like, I think that's more weapons than anything else. I mean, Brandon, you know this guy the most because you're a part-time Washington football team fan. I frankly, as a Steelers fan, I was saying, like, yeah, I like that Cousins is throwing the ball right here because he can't do anything. He threw it twice to Ahkello Witherspoon.
Oh, yeah, it was bad. I was like, honestly, I'm going to be honest. I'm going to keep it real. I actually fell asleep. I was like, man, forget about it. Even the Vikings won't screw this up. 29-0. I went to bed. I was like, man, I got to go to work tomorrow, even though I don't really want to, but I was like, all right. And then I walked up, and it was 30. And I woke up, went to bed, woke up at 12, at about 1. It's like 30. 20, they survived? I'm like, what? How the hell did that happen? But, yes, I knew that Kirk Cousins was gonna put the Steelers back in the game, and that's exactly what he did.
Yeah,
Quickly, I want to talk about Ahkello Witherspoon. We had a little bit of a talk about Witherspoon earlier this year when the Seahawks were coming to town, and we talked to Michael Sean Dugar, who I talked to on Twitter during this game. He was saying, like, Ahkello can still cover out there, and I'm sitting there like, hey, again, I'm pretty sure that if you go back and look at, he's the biggest corner the Steelers have probably had at least since maybe Rod Woodson. And that's in terms of height, not in terms of skill or anything like that. Like, legit, when I think of big corners, you're going to have to put some stats in front of me or some heights and weights, because in terms of height, he's big out there and he's able to cover him. And I think they were putting him on Jefferson, if I recall correctly. So he was going against the big guys out there, and in the words of Mike Tomlin, he didn't blink.
Oh, yeah. Because I gotta look up his stats for the game. You have his stats, Chris?
Who?
Jefferson's.
Oh, Jefferson. I don't have him right in front of me. I know he had a touchdown. He beat Cam. Cam Sutton had a rough game. He gave up 2 touchdowns.
Yeah, that's.
You know what? Why do you think the Steelers have not drafted well? Do you think they just go for little guys? I don't know. They just try to grab any old guy that historically, because they have a great front seven and they just do not emphasize cornerback play. Is that, you think? I mean, ever since Rod Woodson, but you think that's the case here?
They've always been a team that prides itself on its front seven. And it really is the safeties that make the headway in the defense in terms of the secondary. It's always been a team that's lived and died off a good safety. That's one of the reasons why in 2019, if you remember before they picked up Minkah Fitzpatrick, it was a good front seven. The problem is it's just like you had Hayden and that was it back there. You put Minkah up there, you allow him, like, all right, let's go have him cover behind, like a Sutton or a Hilton or something like that, or whoever's on the other side for the Steelers. I can't remember off the top of my head. Oh, they had Steven Nelson as well. Nelson was there. But even then, they got carved up by the Patriots. But when Minka came in there, it was just like there was another guy that was able to roam right to the other side and create headway. That's what they've always needed.
Yeah, they always only had like two max good defensive backs at a time. I mean, good to great. Everybody else has been average. It was. I mean, Deshae Townsend, he take it or leave him sometimes. He was solid, but the best secondary they probably had was in 2008. That era, the 2008, 2009, 2008 to 2010 era. It's just been. I mean, you could say like 2005 they had a good second. Chris Hope was pretty good.
They had Deshae Townsend. They had a young Ike Taylor. They had Brian McFadden, who we had on this podcast, make a few plays. Remember, he made that play against Reggie Wayne that if Wayne catches that, we're talking about maybe the 5th Super Bowl was in 2009.
Oh,
I mean, they've always had guys up at – that's the one thing from the secondary. Even whenever you go back to Dwayne Washington and all those guys, they needed guys out there that when the ball went their way, you know that it was going to be average, but you expected them when the chips were down to make a play.
Right.
And they never really invested high in the draft. You think like first, second round cornerbacks.
Artie Burns.
Mid.
No, they did. They did for like back in the day. They had this guy. God, drafted Ben. They drafted somebody from I don't even know where he came from. Some black school.
Ricardo Coakley.
You probably know who he is, Chris. Mr. Historian.
That's why I said they never not saying they didn't, but like they never really do consistently. Ricardo Coakley.
Yes.
Yeah. But
I remember him from NFL 2K5.
Yeah. And then, as you mentioned, Ty, Artie Burns, which of course we know didn't work out. They definitely reached that for that one.
I mean, they buy their secondary. That's what they do.
Yeah, but I don't know. It never really worked out. They'll have to invest here in the cornerback in the draft here coming up because Hayden's probably gone after this year. They definitely need something at cornerback.
Hold up, Chris. Didn't I say you too, Ty? Didn't I say Hayden was not going to age well? I told you this was not going to work this year.
Yeah, you were right. I mean, at this point, I would only want Hayden back right now if he was a rotational safety. I think where Carl Joseph is, that's where he needs to be right now. Because even if he comes back, he wasn't really all that impressive whenever he was healthy. So now that he's had these like extended instances out, you're hoping that these 10 days can get him back in. I don't know, man. That just doesn't look good.
Right. Sorry.
So now,
let's talk. Who do you want to talk about? Your boy or your other boy?
Let's talk about my boy Ben Roethlisberger and the sexy pick in the media. Blame the return of Ben Roethlisberger on the faults of the Pittsburgh Steelers. And while you could say it in a monetary way, I'm not going to deny it. But even the biggest critic, Shannon Sharp, and I'm pretty sure if I went and looked hard enough, Chris Carter, they actually praised Roethlisberger's performance. Colin Cowherd did it. Stephen A. Smith did it. And he did well. I mean, that was what you wanted out of Ben Roethlisberger. 24-40, 308 yards, 3 touchdowns, 1 interception. But it was just his, in general, refusal to give up after being sacked 4 times in the first half. You've affectionately called him Old Yeller. I think in terms of this season, it's like if they want to, it's still Ben to the end with them, and his tank's not empty.
He's like, as for what I said earlier, I may be wrong. I might have to eat my words on that. But
yeah, I'm with you, Brandon. I was.
I have to eat my words a little bit.
Look,
I'm the type of guy. If I'm wrong, I'm wrong. But that he's proven why he is a Hall of Famer, and I did say he's a top 5 quarterback all time. He's in my top 5.
Yeah, but I was critical of him, especially in the September. But he's been playing. Other than that Bengals game, he hasn't thrown an interception since week 5. Yeah,
he did. I think he threw one on Thursday.
Oh yeah,
He did. He did. He's thrown 2 interceptions since week 5.
Yeah, so he's thrown 3 interceptions since week 5. Yeah.
I mean, I can't hate on him right now, but would you want him back? Do you still want him back, or do you want him?
No, I think he's done.
I think he's going to be done. I want him to be done, but in a very, very in case of emergency break glass situation, Drew Brees, whenever he retired, the Saints managed to do some cap gymnastics, cap magic to drop him down from making I think somewhere in the teens of millions to 500,000. I'm not saying let's make him go down there, but Ben's going to have to get pretty firmly in the single digits if I want him back, because all that cap money.
You can do that, but that's kicking the down can.
I know. I'm tired of kicking the tire. I'm tired of doing it. But let's see this. Let's say this. We'll let him go out there and think about it until June. If they find a quarterback, we tell him, hey, hit the road. But let him have the spring off and try to go out there and search. If you find your guy, if you get your guy, go ahead, let him go. But say they don't get their guy, the guy that they exactly want, and Ben comes back saying, you know what, I feel a little good. I'm willing to take an even more massive pay cut so you guys could keep this money, and maybe you can go find another quarterback soon. Maybe you could trade up again. I don't know what they could do in this situation. It's the Steelers. They'll do something. I wouldn't be the happiest person in the world, but I wouldn't necessarily be angry. I'd probably be more disappointed, but I'd understand. It'd be a lot like last offseason for me.
You know what? If they can invest in lineman in the first round, get somebody in free agency, bolster that lineup a little bit, maybe.
I don't think it's going to happen, but yeah.
They not just one offensive line was going to help that group right now. They need a couple.
I said somebody in the draft and somebody in free agency twice. I said about 2, man. And you got a couple. Dan Moore got some potential. What we said last week, they do not invest that heavily in the left tackle position. That is going to what they do.
And they need to.
They're going to need a guard. Unless they move Kendrick Green to guard or center, so it's center guard really. What's what they need?
Make a decision on Green. Figure out if you want him to be because I think this wild snap crap has got to stop.
I think he's a better guard in the center. I agree. I think
this has got to stop. This killed an entire playoff run. A wild snap killed an entire playoff run, and it pretty closely near killed this game as well. There was a lot of other things that killed it more, but this has got to stop. They need a
real center.
A real center, a guy that actually sat down in college and did this, and who has a great track record of not snapping the ball over the quarterback's head.
That's what you go in free agency for. You go into free agency, you can get somebody. I don't know who the free agents are for centers. I'm sorry. I apologize. But look,
it's a long way off. Don't worry.
But all right. But look at what Rodney Hudson, who's playing right now for the Cardinals, he's almost single-handedly turned the Cardinals around. Not single-handedly, but look at what he's doing.
Offensive line-wise.
Offensive line-wise. You get a good center that knows how to make the pass blocking adjustments and and then move a guy like Kendrick Green to right guard, Dan Moore at left tackle, you can draft a road grader at left guard. I don't know about that Dotson kid, but whatever. Could take him. Chewy's pretty good if you go by the stats.
He's been playing better.
As bad as everybody thinks he is.
No, he's been playing better lately.
You might have some.
That block in the back was just inexcusable. Like, I know we're about to talk about the go to the town right now, but that block in the back didn't help.
Yeah.
But yeah, I'm not. But you saying what we're going to bet
with Green?
Then you might have some.
He only started 4 games in college at center, so that's why I kind of question. They didn't have a good plan there.
I think he'd be a real good right guard.
They didn't have a good plan there because look at their backups. B.J. Finney, Hassenhauer was the center. Like their depth at center wasn't good either, so they didn't have a good fallback plan. That and they were too high on Banner too. But it's really
whose fault is that?
Culvert.
Whose fault is that?
That's all the GM.
All these decisions are management induced.
So they really missed it there with the offensive line.
And they missed it with the offensive coordinator too. I'm telling you.
I agree.
I think Ben is helping him out. Ben is saving his career right now, of his professional career. I don't even even know if he's that good. I didn't even think he was that good of an offensive coordinator in college.
Well, look at his resume. Like, he has no NFL experience before coming to the Steelers, quarterback coach and everything. And
go ahead.
Their offensive line coach and Canada, like all within the organization too.
Also, let's not use Ed Orgeron as a scapegoat with Matt Canada, because in case you haven't heard about what he was doing at Louisiana State, he had some issues as well. So I think there was more to that than what meets the eye. But Orgeron's mistakes were a little bit later.
What about Pitt? He wasn't all that.
He was the interim head coach at Maryland.
Saved his ass.
He was the interim head coach at Maryland when the heat stroke situation where that one offensive lineman died, and he has a Maryland connection. They were a pretty solid team for the entire situation. That's where I go, okay, maybe he'll have something. But I'll put it to you like this: Matt Canada, I think he does things. I think he's made things a little bit better in terms of the Steelers have more interesting concepts, but I don't think they're working anymore. Like the end arounds with the wide receivers, the jet sweeps, those are starting to go fade away and become obsolete. So he's got to now. That's the one thing about the Steelers. Sometimes they don't have a counter to these situations until it's well too late.
Whose fault is that? Like I said, whose fault is that? That is management induced. That is coaching induced. What I don't know. You guys got it.
What can you say about coaching? Because I don't know how they pull off these second half comebacks. They're trying to change history after that. So there's a level of do they basically say win because I told you to, and they're like Patrick from SpongeBob yelling out because you told me to. I don't know in this situation. I don't know where to go with this team.
We don't know. That's the problem. So what do we do? What do the Steelers do at this point? Like, what does Mike Tomlin do? Because he ain't going nowhere. I don't think he is. What do the Steelers do from here? They are stuck in that quagmire of mediocrity like they have been, and they're going to continue doing this, and they will not get the impact players they need, I don't think, unless they do what I say and just go off a cliff for 1 year. Look what, and I hate talking about this because this breaks my heart. And Chris, you know where I'm going with this. Look what happened yesterday. Look who they're talking about now as the defensive player of the year as a rookie.
Boys.
Micah Parsons. They went down with their team, bit the bullet, and they got a generational talent who's you know how them Cowboy fans are. Oh yeah, man. Jerry, we got the next Lawrence Taylor. That's how we do it. That's what we doing. Yes, boy. We got the next Lawrence Taylor in our
but they had this piece. Yeah, but they had the fortune of having one thing that you need in this league to always bounce back, and that's a franchise quarterback. They already had that in there. They didn't have to worry about a lot of things when it came to that situation. That's the blessing the Steelers had over the last couple years. Now they're effectively starting from scratch at the most important position in the organization. It's going to be different strokes.
And
you get a good franchise quarterback. I understand it. It's inexcusable, but I understand it. You get a good franchise quarterback, you milk that guy until the milk's gone. You have no choice. Because if you don't have a plan B, as they showed with Terry Bradshaw, heck, you can argue before that with Bobby Lane and a bunch of other in that situation in Steelers history. When if you don't have the next guy coming up, it's even worse. And let me tell you this, you're not going to get that in a lot of situations unless you're the Indianapolis Colts or the Green Bay Packers. Ask John Elway. How long has he been searching for that guy? They've been searching for a quarterback aside from Peyton Manning since Elway retired as a player.
Yeah, it's tough.
That's how it is.
You do milk it, but yeah, it is rough. But
we got to move on.
You know, one team you didn't mention about finding franchise quarterbacks, New England, and that's another thing. Hold on.
No. Just move on.
Oh,
this
man.
is going to be a segue. Hold on. Before you jump down my throat, I've mentioned New England to mention why you guys. Why? Hold on. Before you guys jump down my throat about New England, what do you think they would tolerate the bullcrap that Chase Claypool did last week? You know we're going to go to this, so I use New England game situation football and smart football, and that's another reason why they're not succeeding, because they're not playing smart football. New England always plays smart football. That's why they always fail against New England. Would Bill Belichick tolerate what Chase Claypool did and his behavior and his antics? Because you know we're going to get into it anyway. So
I guess that's our segue to it. Well, when you look at it in a vacuum, when you eliminate the boneheadedness of Chase Claypool, he actually did good. That was 8 receptions for 96 yards. If you eliminate the boneheadedness, we're sitting here going, oh, man, I think this was a breakout game for Chase Claypool. But guess what? That's exactly what's happened. The man just lost all composure in the worst situation. And by the way, he did get benched for that first personal foul penalty. He was actually benched for that, but then that inexcusable celebration with 30 seconds and ticking away, and it kind of got poked away by Eric Kendricks of the Vikings. But regardless, the ball, and maybe they should have put a penalty for that, but they didn't call it because it was so subtle. And of course, he blames Trey Turner for it in the post-game interview. There's just a lot of things you look at with this guy, and I think we kind of got caught off with the superlatives because he's Canadian and he went to Notre Dame. But trust me, Brandon, if you came into the league and had 4 touchdowns in a game, you had a team go 11-0 to begin your career, would you have an ego the size of the entire landmass of Canada?
Yes, but this is
It's not excusing it.
Hold on. AB. Oh, we all know what Juju has turned into in the last couple of years. I heard about him on the South Side a few times, but we're going to leave that alone because I have sources that say he didn't really – the reason why he didn't want to leave Pittsburgh because reasons of he likes hanging around with them people, young ladies on the South Side, and yeah, and that messed up his career trajectory, and that cost him money. But I say that, and then you got this guy. You know who they need? They need a wide receivers coach, and there's one guy in Florida Atlantic.
They have Ike Hilliard, who helped out Terry McLaurin.
No. Huh?
They have Ike Hilliard as their receivers coach. Do you want a replacement in there? Okay, I could buy it.
Yes. You know who he is, Chris? He coaches Florida Atlantic. He has had exactly 1,000 catches in his career.
Yeah, I just said Hines Ward.
And he played 14 years for this franchise. Can you guess who it is? And guess what? It's not that hard. Just pick up your last name.
I just said it.
He's already said it. He's already. You telegraphed it.
You're already thinking about it. How do you feel about that? If he comes back, they need somebody like him.
I wouldn't want a guy already in the organization. We already had that with Joey Porter.
Yeah,
I don't know. Well, yeah,
I know.
Hold up. I know. Guy died, right?
What?
Who's the receiver coach that died? I forget his name.
Daryl Drake.
Yeah.
Yes. I'm sorry. Rest in peace to him. They need somebody like a Hines Ward. Somebody that can bring that tough. They don't have a Hines Ward. When the Steelers were the Steelers, they had Hines Ward. They had him at receiver. They wasn't about this diva bull job. They
had diva moments. We just didn't exactly see it. It was very well hidden. His contract situations, a few of his contract situations, but that's money. That's different. But
money's different. Yeah. Money is money. I'll be money that, but on the field stuff, like blocking for the receiver. When's the last time you've seen Juju? Have you seen Chase Claypool block somebody?
No, he missed a block on
anytime. Have you seen Deontay Johnson block somebody?
Well, he's not
hard.
He's not that big. That's not really what
he's basically a decoy out there. He's a decoy wide receiver. Number ones don't do that.
I know what you mean.
Whatever.
Like
their wide receivers too much pretty boy because they got it from AB, and AB has spread diva wide receiver. Am I allowed to? No, I'm not going to do it. I'm trying to say wimpiness from the Steelers. They have their receivers are not the same. They do not embody the Pittsburgh Steelers wide receivers, even from the base of Ernie Mills and who else? Yancey Pickman in the 90s and stuff, because they blocked. They busted their hump to get catches. Back in the day, they didn't have to. Now they just get the ball to them. And they're demanding music on the practice field. This is not the Steelers way. This is a way.
Let's talk about this real quick.
Go ahead.
Let's talk about this real quick. I mean, now we know it's clear. For days, Claypool has been the media's ire, and he already got benched for it. And you remember last year with Deontay Johnson, he responded somewhat well to the benching, but it was really apparent this year. Do you expect a positive or negative reply to this criticism from Claypool? Is this going to be more similar to Deontay Johnson, or is Claypool just going to go off on the more of the area of alignment sweep sans the impact block?
Well, definitely. You're talking about talking about Chris. You're talking about Lyman Swede, probably the worst receiver in Steelers history.
There's a lot of people that are trying to say they'd rather have Sleet out there, and I think that's garbage. But still, there's a lot of. Then I guess the question is this: is he going to lose his composure at this situation? Because he's already had like the ire of most people, but now he has it on like a super focused level. Like I'm talking like the entire national media, former Steelers themselves have been all over this guy since even before Thursday night, but really since Friday morning, it's been laser focused on that man.
I think he has room to go. I think he's a good kid. I don't think he's an evildoer. I think he could grow from this. He has the talent. I've always said he has the talent. He could be a Pro Bowl caliber receiver. He still has almost 800 yards in the season. So I think he can recover from it, but I just think the Steelers, I think the whole team in general needs a shift. They need to get that Steeler aura back. They have not really truly had that in 10 years. Do you agree, Chris, or not?
Oh yeah,
That Tebow playoff game when they went down the field and 316 y'all asses. Y'all have not. That Steeler aura has just went the crap, and you know it.
Yeah, I mean they don't have the same cultures, obviously they once did, but some of that's like the new age. Speaking of Claypool, him doing his little first down point, like that just shows that he cares about his brand at that point because he's gonna like promote, whatever. He's way too caught up in like being a social media influencer or whatever. I don't know where his head's at. I don't know where his head was at on that final drive. I mean, that's like football 101. Like you have no timeouts left. He wasted like at least 10 seconds there. They could have at least.
Everybody wants a Larry Fitzgerald, and that's fine. I want a Larry Fitzgerald too. But at the same time, I even look at it with Juju. Yes, Juju does some incredibly dumb things at wrong times. You remember during the playoff game last year against the Browns, as they were setting up, he did a random like weird twerk thing. It was on Twitter. But regardless, there's the great receivers that I think of in my lifetime because that was the position that I always watched whenever I was growing up. Yes, they did goofy things. Yes, they had a look at me thing. But when the ball was snapped, they were all business until that game was over. They might act up on the sideline. They'll score and let your mama know about it. But at the same time, it's just whenever it's in the heat of the moment, and I think Juju understands that as well. That's why we're starting to see people get less hard on him because at least in a big time situation, he's not going to act a fool.
Even AB didn't do that type of stuff. When AB was there, he was on the line. He was clutch all day. AB used to never do that. But this guy, and then
he had a clutch moment still.
He had a clutch moment. AB did it consistently. He kept his mouth shut when he needed to do it. And another thing, what about that defense? And this is another thing about this Steeler culture that is probably pissing off some of the older Steelers. Went down 22 points, going all the way down to the daggone end zone and doing the team foes down 22. How about that?
Everyone does that. I don't even care.
That for your Steelers?
I think it's always been dumb to do that team foes. I really think that's really been a thing since Cam Newton's MVP year. But they did that on the sideline after their possession was done. But the defense has started doing that in the last couple of years. I've always thought it was dumb, but you want to know something? Old habits die hard. And who knows? Maybe that got them hyped and thinking like some sort of confidence in themselves because for the love of God, they're not really doing much. So any confidence they can have in themselves, I'll take it. It doesn't exactly taste the way that I'd want it to be, but at this point, I can't really complain. You make a play, feel good about yourself, and then go make another.
Yeah, maybe they'll ask Tomlin about that. They'll probably forget about it. It's kind of like a side note. Like I know there was an article about it, celebrating the end zone down 22. But Claypool's coming up tomorrow.
Yeah, that that entire conversation he has is going to be probably the most headline thing. That's going to be a lead story on ESPN outside of the COVID issues right now that they're having in this league. I want to talk real quick about the middle linebackers because it's been the story du jour aside from everything else, especially defensively. They benched Joe Schobert, in case you didn't know about that. They had a rotation of Buddy Johnson, the rookie, and Marcus Allen, who's primarily on special teams. Now it's official. The primary middle linebackers, I had primary in finger quotes, have both been benched at one point in time this season. So what are we expecting from the middle linebackers going forward? Is this going to be more common where they just say, all right, they're done? Or do you think that one of these guys, either Bush or Schobert, get replaced by one or both of Robert Spillane or Buddy Johnson in the future? This season, I mean.
Both. I think both. And another guy you didn't mention was Marcus Allen, who I saw in the preseason.
Maybe even Killebrew as well.
And I thought he was a safety.
He's a safety linebacker hybrid, so he might. Well, I've been saying, why not try him out in sub packages if he's going out there blocking kicks? Clearly, he wants the bigger role.
They might put him in the free safety package. You might as well with these middle linebackers you got. Put him. Edmonton, Fitzpatrick, put him, put whoever you want to. I would say probably Buddy Johnson at middle linebacker, and then have whoever you want, I guess, Highsmith and TJ on the lines. But that would be a better linebacker because you need to get rid of Bush. Because I'm going to tell you what tweet. Oh, I read the Twitter today, Chris. Don't act like I don't.
Oh, yeah, he had his press conference today.
He tweeted like, I just play football. I don't know who we play against this weekend. I don't know. Okay, like, how the hell do you not know who you play against? How do you not know?
He knows who he plays against. He's just speaking superlative.
Just saying that.
Superlative, whatever.
Yeah, I know.
He's lazy.
I thought you were talking.
He's lazy. He's lazy. Your boy's lazy.
All right, whatever.
Yeah, I'm talking about your boy right now. Y'all boy. Y'all drafted 2 years ago, 10th overall, gave up 2 picks for. He's lazy.
Yeah.
He is a lazy. He does not know his assignments. He doesn't study. I've heard he doesn't study his game film. I heard a lot about that. That's part of the reason why he's struggling. And he can't run the defense at all.
Yeah. Yeah, I don't know. It definitely his quotes were a little, definitely weird. Talking about, not everybody's playing up to their potential. I don't think he really. I think he just worded it wrong because, I don't know. They're not. The whole team's not playing well, but there are some players that are playing obviously better than him right now.
Yeah. Look on that defensive line and look at your linebacker partner, buddy. That's our guys that are playing to their potential, and with Watt especially, probably beyond it. Yeah. Whenever you think about his injury troubles this year, and Minka stepped up a little bit, so I'm gonna give him the benefit of the doubt and basically make him say that he obviously knows who he's playing against, and he obviously knows that there are players that are playing above their potential. He just has to take a look at the headlines. At this point, there's a lot you could do better than for this right now in terms of his performance. So it's going to be important for the Steelers to try to figure out. They invested a lot. They liked Buddy Johnson whenever they draft him. So maybe he can. Maybe this is a shot. What round did they draft him? Wasn't he 4th, Chris?
Yeah, it was 4th round.
Yeah.
Where did he go to school at?
Texas A&M.
See, enough Texas A&M. He played in the SEC. He knows big-time football. Even if it's college, but still. He can't do nothing worse than your boy. He's terrible. He's a lazy bum that can't get off of blocks, can't cover, can't tackle, can't do squat. I don't care what his mama say.
We just out here roasting the entire world. So, all right, let's get to the ending here, guys. And well, for all the hard out for everything that's gone on this season, for all the heartache, somehow, some way, the Steelers are still in the thick of not only the playoff race, but also with losses to both the Ravens and the Bengals. It is still possible for this team to win the most mediocre good division in NFL history, the AFC North this year. The Steelers are fourth at 6-6-1. The Browns and Bengals are both at 7-6. The Bengals own the tiebreaker by 2 wins over the Steelers, and the Ravens are 8-5. And Brandon, you noticed the most last year. It was the NFC East, nicknamed the NFC Least, that was hard to watch. The North is a little bit different. It hasn't been painful, but of course, when you think of the good AFC North years, like, I don't know, last year, it's not the crown jewel that it typically is. So what percentage do you have the Steelers in stealing this division, and why?
20%.
I have 10%.
Because I say 20 because of Old Yeller. Old Yeller. I think Ben may have one last run in him. Not a Super Bowl run. Don't let's not get crazy. One last playoff run. I think he's still got a couple more big games left in him. So 20%. If you have TJ Watt and Cam Akers, no matter what we say about the defense, we roast the defense, but you got them two. Like I said, they're the Shaq and Kobe of the defense and the NFL defenses right now. We got them three. You got a fighting chance.
That's always been the Steelers' MO. Fighting chance. That's what I give them. I'd lean towards a nice 15 because that's what most of the metrics actually have them at. 7% by the ESPN Football Power Index, but on the high end it's been 15. So I'd say 15 is a pretty nice shot there. I'm not exactly all gung ho like you are, Brandon. At least in this situation, it's still reserved, of course. And I'm not pessimist.
20% ain't gung ho.
Well, you're the highest out of us, but Chris is on the low end. But it's hopeful. Yeah, 10%.
You said 15. He says 10. I said 20. Yeah, I'm more hopeful about that than the Pittsburgh natives that's been bleeding this black and gold stuff all their lives.
They'll have to win 3 of their last 4 games to get to 9 wins. So I mean,
that's probably gonna be tough. I said 20% because Ben, Ben can do Ben things.
And so
that's why
I think they'll for sure lose the Chiefs. I think so. They'll have to beat the Titans and then win their last 2 games against the Browns and Ravens.
Yeah,
I think Browns and Heinz Field is doable.
Yeah, I could see them winning.
You know what? I might talk. And another reason is Tom. I know we talk trash about the Tomlin special. We joke about it. But Chris, who do you know in our life? I mean, since we've been watching football, who's the better coach when they're actually the underdogs than Mike Tomlin?
Tomlin's done good when they're the underdogs. Yeah,
they're underdog. We might talk bad about them beating crappy teams, but they know how to rise to the occasion.
I mean, look when they beat the Ravens, they're
real good teams.
The walls, and then they had another Bengals type performance against the Vikings, but they did come back at the end. But like the Chargers game, it was like
I'm saying,
a little too late.
That's another reason why I give them a fighting chance.
Yeah, watch the win. The win this Sunday. Watch and then
They'll watch they'll win this Sunday. Probably lose close to the Chiefs, and probably blow it against the Browns.
Yeah, and then
and then
Lamar's supposed to. He's supposed to come back soon, so he'll be there for the week 18 game. So that's at Baltimore, and they're struggling right now. I mean, I don't know.
They are struggling. They are reeling, and I don't know if they did play. They played well. Is Cincinnati really good enough to? I think they're good. They're great. They're good. But is this their year to take over the NFC? I'm sorry, AFC North.
Chase is for real.
I know, but damn,
I posted this on Twitter this morning. Jimmy Garoppolo. What do you guys think about him as a possible bridge quarterback for the Steelers?
I said that a couple weeks ago.
Well, I'm saying
I think that would probably be that'd be one of the high end bridge scenarios that I'd say, like, it's the more realistic pick because they have Trey Lance back there. I would like that, and I feel like that would be the absolute best possible bridge, but they definitely need to have offensive linemen around them.
Yeah, because I don't see, people keep on mentioning Rodgers and Wilson. I'll be really surprised.
I think Rodgers is staying in Green Bay after this.
Yeah, and
Wilson would. I don't know if Wilson wants to come here because he'd be effectively doing what he did in Seattle here in Pittsburgh with a slightly younger team.
Yeah, and they won't even touch Watson.
Yeah.
Watson would have to come pennies on the dollar.
Where do you think he's going to go, Watson? Where do you think Deshaun Watson could go?
I don't even know, to be honest. I don't know.
I'm not even focusing on him. I mean, I'm playing Madden right now, and I traded him on the Raiders, but that's different. I don't think they'll do that.
Yeah, I have no idea. He's got to figure out different lawsuits against him right now.
Yeah, he's been quiet on that front. But let's final segment here before we wrap it up. Brandon, a few weeks ago, you said you wanted a villain in the playoff picture, and at least in the AFC, I want to congratulate you for bringing back the New England Patriots. Well done. The playoffs, as it's currently constructed, is the Patriots the top seed at 9-4, the Titans 9-4 coming into Pittsburgh, the Chiefs 9-4, the Ravens 8-5 with the wild cards, the Chargers at 8-5, the Colts at 7-6, the Bills at 7-6. Meanwhile, in the hunt, you have the Browns and Bengals and the Broncos at 7-6. Your Pittsburgh Steelers at 6-1, the Raiders at 6-7, and the Dolphins at 6-7. The Jags and the Jets are not really counted. So, and again, it's a slim percent.
They're not eliminated. Those teams are still technically alive.
Yeah, but they're basically eliminated in the hearts and minds of football fans. I think the Jets are actually officially. I don't know about the Jags, but yeah, I remember seeing the Jets are officially eliminated. So I want to get your guys' playoff pictures real quick because we wanted to talk about it during this. So I'll give you 30 seconds to talk about each.
Go ahead.
Go ahead, Brendan.
Oh, you want me to go first? I'm like, who do you think is going to make it out of AFC?
Yeah.
Both conference? All right.
Just AFC.
Top seed, I'll have New England. Second seed, Kansas City. Third seed, I'll have Tennessee. Fourth seed, and that'll be the AFC North winner. I'm still going to pick Baltimore because of Harbaugh. I think they'll have a shot. Fifth seed, Buffalo. Sixth seed,
Colts.
The Colts. And the seventh seed, I'm going to go with Cincinnati over Pittsburgh because of the tiebreaker. And the NFC, I'll have.
I just wanted the AFC, man.
Yeah, just
you
AFC.
didn't want the NFC?
We're almost out of time.
Chris, real quick.
I got the Colts. I think the Colts that's a team to watch out for. Did you have the Chargers making it?
Oh, well, I have one of the teams. You know what?
Chargers.
I'm sorry. I have LA over the Bengals. I'm sorry. And the Steelers on the outside looking in because they lost to the Chargers. Because they lost critical AFC games.
Yeah, the Ravens might just make it just because they have a little bit of a lead right now. I don't know. It's tough. I don't know.
Here, how about this? I'll quickly say it and give Chris a little bit of time to think it. I had the Patriots at the top seed. I have the Chiefs as the second seed, the Titans the third seed, and then the fourth seed will be the Cincinnati Bengals. Fifth seed, I have the Ravens. Sixth seed, I have the Colts, and the seventh seed, I have the Chargers. So that means I think the Bills are going to fail out. And the ironic thing is that I actually had the Bills as a Super Bowl team at the beginning of the year.
Hold on. I want to say this. Don't be surprised if the Colts steal that division.
Yeah.
Don't be surprised.
Yeah, I agree.
I'm about it because
I think this weekend we'll have a lot of contingency on that. If the Steelers beat the Titans, that AFC North is it is going to be interesting, but the AFC South will be spicy.
I don't know if they play again. I don't know if they played again twice. I have to look at the schedule. I think they play at least one more time. At least. I don't even know. I have to look at it, but they definitely play one more time this year, and I think it's going to be in Indianapolis. And Tennessee's record in Indianapolis is not good.
Yeah,
but I can see the Colts still in that division.
Yeah, I think the Bills. I don't see the Bills making it. So basically, what you said, Ty. I'd probably go with that. I don't really know who's going to win the AFC North, but I'll say the Ravens for now. But I'm not really too confident in that. And then I'm pretty high on the Colts and Chargers. I think they're kind of sneaky teams to get in there. But so yeah, basically all the same teams you had, Ty.
Yeah, this is going to be a really interesting final couple weeks of the NFL season. I guess this is what they wanted whenever they went to 17. So stay tuned. It's going to be a white knuckle finish all the way, folks. So next up for the Pittsburgh Steelers is the team that's currently holding down that second seed. It's the Tennessee Titans. They come into Heinz Field, so that's going to be an interesting game. We will recap that one and preview it live on Twitter and upload the audio versions to all of our all of our podcast platforms. Thank you for supporting us wherever it's been, whether it be Twitter, Facebook, and all of our podcast places. Again, thank you so much for that. Thank you for tuning in. Please like and retweet all of our live streams, the podcast links, and our tweets. Rate us 5 stars on any of your favorite podcast distributors, and also leave us a like on the YouTube version as well. For Chris Ward and Brandon Walker, I'm Ty Polk. You have listened to the Renegade Blitz.
Thank you for listening to the Renegade Blitz podcast. Follow us on Twitter at Renegade Blitz, at @RBlitzPod, and at Blitz Videos. Read articles on renegadeblitz.com. Like us on Facebook and subscribe to our podcast on your favorite podcast app. The Renegade Blitz podcast is available on Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, YouTube, Spotify, and wherever else you can listen to podcasts.